Listen to Salam Media.
8:22 exactly, and we're now joined by Shaheen Essop. He is, of course, the president of SAHUC, and we're going to talk about the supposed travel ban to the Holy Lands, or the travel lifting of the travel bans. I'm pretty confused because Saudi Arabia has stated that it will allow entry to travelers from all countries as long as they have received one dose of a COVID-19 vaccine inside the kingdom. This statement was released on Saturday, and then this was a day after suspending flights from 7 African countries due to the Omicron variant, and that included us in South Africa. So I'm confused. Shaheen, salaam alaikum. I hope you can clarify the situation for us.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Julie, jazakallah khairan for the opportunity. Salams to everybody at Salam Media and to all the listeners out there. You know, if you confuse Julie, then I think we must end the conversation because you're never confused.
But this is really, really so very confusing. I don't know. Are you allowed or are you not allowed? Do you go ahead and make plans or not?
Let's look at the situation as we stand right now. Omicron has obviously stepped into the limelight. Together with some of the other countries in the world, Saudi Arabia has basically put a ban on flights from South Africa and other African countries around South Africa in the SAHUC region, which means people that have booked for Umrah that were departing a little bit later are unfortunately suspended at this point in time. We have to wait and see because personally, I must tell you, I think it's a knee-jerk reaction. I don't think that the world itself has thought this thing through and has looked at the source of this whole Omicron. It's almost as if we have given birth to this particular virus. Speaking to some medical practitioners in travel medicine and other doctors, you've got to question the logic of the political minds to have done something like this. But that's a different discussion. I'm not going to delve into that at this point in time. It's too early for us to make any, I won't say concerted, alternative arrangements, but I am saying it is too early or too quick for us to start panicking at this particular point in time. Give it a few days just so that it can smooth over. We can understand what the situation is and see to what extent we're finding ourselves in. And then obviously we start looking at the repercussions, or we look at the alternatives available to us. But it is very, very sad that we find that, at the behest of a stroke of a pen, people will not be able to travel out of the kingdom. So much, has gone into preparation, not only for Saudi Arabia, travel from Mu'tamirin. There's various other aspects that has, gone on as well. What makes it very, very confusing to yourself and others as well, a few days before that, I think Wednesday or Thursday, Saudi Arabia made mention that they're opening the inward flights to Egypt, to Indonesia, to India, as well as to Pakistan. That also coincided with the allowing of Nafil Tawaf, starting on Friday evening on the first floor and the second floor of the Haram. The mataf was still restricted to those people that were doing Umrah. You still need to obviously do the necessary bookings through the Etamarna app, in order to do all of those, facilities in the Haram area of Makkah. And then comes Omicron, and obviously everything is now blocked. Saturday comes and they put out a notice saying that, if you've got the vaccine from the Saudi-approved vaccination list, then you'll be allowed in from those countries that have been approved to enter. Meaning that if South Africa is on the restricted list, albeit that you've got the double vaccine for Pfizer or you've got the J&J, you're still not going to be permitted because South Africa is now placed on the red list as a result of Omicron. And that is where the confusion comes in from a point of view that those countries that have now been approved to enter on Thursday when they made that list, you must have these particular vaccinations. And that's what they're basically referring to.
Okay, so Shaheen, at this point in time, South Africa is still on the red list, despite the fact that the UK seems to have backtracked. They are now allowing flights in and out of South Africa, 2 for the time being. I think the first one is tomorrow, and then I think on a Tuesday and a Friday. into and out of OR and Cape Town International. So that's where we stand with UK, and I think that is in response to a South African government expressing their dismay at being placed on that list, or a travel ban being placed on us. Do you think that Saudis might have a change of heart if SAHUC or DIRCO or someone intervenes or approaches them and asks them to rethink the status quo?
Well, I think the bottom line is that, remember, this is a government-to-government situation. This, an NGO like SAHUC, we can make representation, but at the end of the day, it is government-to-government based on the fact from, our NICD and various other aspects. Obviously, they've seen the United Kingdom change heart. They will obviously inquire why. They will do what they need to do. It's a much higher level, and they would say in industry, it's above my pay grade. So one needs to understand that, these things are going to be discussed political to political. And I'm sure our government, through DIRCO, has made enough representation to many of the other countries that have blocked us as a result of, two things. The first and the most important is that, we need to look after the interests of our citizens in South Africa, number one. Number two, if you look at the ailing tourism, travel, and leisure industry in South Africa, just about 3 weeks ago, Julie, I did some inquiries in the Western Cape. There's a 25,000 unit shortage on hired cars in Cape Town over the December period. So that tells you that many people had booked once they opened up from the UK and various other parts of Europe. This obviously put a dampener on it, and there must have been discussions at a higher level which allowed, the United Kingdom to open that process in order to protect the processes around where we are. We may not find people coming to Gauteng because, as you see, our numbers are considerably increasing from the statistics that are publicized, but in the rest of the country, the statistics are not that bad. Here's the concern. Has Omicron been imported into South Africa, or has it been born in South Africa? We don't know. And as I said in my earlier discussion with you, it's important for us to wait a couple of days to ensure that we understand what comes out of either our government or the governments of the international countries or the WHO to determine how this is played out. And then we can determine whether we're going to block the borders, or we're going to allow people in, or we're going to allow people out. It's a panic for people around the world. I mean, I've got friends who are holidaying in the Maldives, for example. They touched down 2 days before this problem hit. And they were, in fact, they were given, a warning from the airline that they use. Please get back to South Africa because we don't know whether we're going to fly back in.
Absolutely. So to end the interview, Shaheen, what I do want to share with you is the World Health Organization is urging all countries and suggesting that travel restrictions may play a role in slightly reducing the spread of COVID-19, but they go on to say they place it places a very heavy burden on lives and livelihoods. And the United Nations agency statement has also said that if restrictions are implemented, they should not be unnecessarily invasive or intrusive and should be scientifically based. Obviously,
that's exactly the point.
It comes
that's
after
exactly the
our
point.
president, made that our health department, our government obviously did the right thing, did the responsible thing, and made the statement public that Omicron was, obviously picked up in South Africa. So I think we've done the responsible thing. We hope and pray that the global village plays its part and supports us and not shut down our economy. So we'll wait to hear from you on further developments.
Yeah, sure, we will do that. But before we close, let's look at this hypothetically. And there was an interview with one of the doctors from the AU on BBC. If COVID was born in Africa, it'd be a totally different approach. The whole of Africa would be shut down because that's how the world perceives Africa, unfortunately. And we need to change that perception. And it is not based on scientific evaluation. It's based on political evaluation. And that needs to change. And this is what we've seen last week as well. The knee-jerk reaction was political. It wasn't scientific.
Absolutely. Let's leave it there. Nice talking to you. As always, take care. And assalamu alaikum to you.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Jazakallah once again.
8:32 exactly. News and views right here on Salam Media.